Hello everyone, welcome to another video of Data Geek powered by Code Elephant. In this video, I'll be talking about a very crucial topic, that is missing data handling. Now, the first question comes into my mind, that what is a missing data? So imagine, you are actually collecting some data from the market or anywhere. You can have an online form, or you can have an offline survey form. Anything you are actually doing, you are actually collecting a data. Now you are expecting the data is coming in a full way. That means what are the columns and what are the row you have actually expecting, those are actually coming. But in real life situation, this is not the case. There are many times, due to some human mistake or due to some machine mistake, many of the cases, whatever the expectation you have from your data will not meet. That means the data, whatever actually you are expecting, you will not get it. Let's give you a very real life example. Suppose you are a librarian and you saw that in your library, many of the users are not actually returning the book properly. To understand the issue, why they are not returning and how many users are not returning, you actually ask user to fill a survey. Okay. Now user is coming to a library, whoever is coming to a library, you are asking them, before you go, you please fill the survey. Now everyone is filling the survey via you have a system or you have a mobile link. Using that, everyone is filling the survey. Now after all the things ended, after all the things are there, after you completed your survey, you notice there are many anomalies in the data. Some of the users have not filled the age. Some of the users have not disclosed their gender. Some of the users have not disclosed how many books they have actually with them. So there can be various kind of data missing. And why is that? There can be two ways. One, user don't want to fill those and they have not filled those. Second, user have filled, but due to some unfortunate reason, your system were not able to capture. But whatever happens, it's actually caused the issue that's called missing data. Now let's understand what are the missing data we have. Okay, then we'll understand how do we handle it. So if I go back to my dashboard, let's see what is the missing data. So first thing in our list, that what is a missing data? A missing data can be this kind of type. Okay, one, it can be a blank. That means the column or the cell you want to have a data that come as a blank. That means nothing is there. So that's a blank missing data. Again, there can be another thing called null. So blank or null basically a same thing. Blank is completely blank. Null is something that a data type. When you are actually capturing via your system, due to some system error or system is for the blank system is considering it as a null. That way you are actually having null. Third one is NaN. The NaN stands for not a number. That means suppose you think a scenario where you are actually planning to capture a age. So age of the user. So age usually comes in a numeric value. Let's say it's 25, 26, this. But due to some unfortunate reason or due to some user's mistake, some user may have filled their name in this place. Or some user, they have filled their age in a word. Like say they have written TWENTY 25. Okay. But those are not number. So what your database will do? Database will not understand that, or the data capture system that you have created, that will not understand that. So instead of putting a wrong value there, they will put as a null. That means it's not a number. This is also a type of missing data. And fourth one is actually your spatial indicator. Now what is a spatial indicator? Now spatial indicator can be many things. Like you are actually expecting certain type of data and you are getting a different type of data. Okay, let's say you are actually expecting some income of the user. Let's say they are can be 2,000 per month, 5,000 per month. This way 2,000, 5,000. These you are expecting, but suddenly you get a value. Let's say minus 999, which is nowhere close to a salary. It's a negative number. So these are the spatial indicator or the special cases. So these are the most seen type of missing data. If you are going to the real life or actual world or real life world, there can be different kind of scenario, but whatever the scenario are there, we can actually fill it in this case. Okay. Now, depending on missing data and how the data got missing, or by seeing the pattern of missing data, we can actually categorize the data. Okay, there are three category of missing data. One is MACR, it's called missing completely at random. Second one is MAR, missing at random. Third one is MNAR, missing not at random. So let's understand what are these things. So the MACR actually missing completely at random. That means you are expecting someone will tell you a first name, last name, and all the things. Suddenly you saw that okay, 1,000 data you have, all of them are correct, but 5-6 data is not having a last name. And you, after studying the data, you haven't find any pattern why those are missing. So those are missing at random. Maybe user typed but it's not captured by the system, or maybe user missed to write. But there are no pattern I can understand that how this data get missing. So these are called MACR, missing completely at random. Next thing is MAR, missing at random. That means in this case the data missing is random, but still there are some pattern. Let's see about a scenario. Let's see, you actually saw the age field is missing in many places. Some of the places age is completely missing, that's okay, you can understand. But after studying carefully, you understand that there are some of the cases where gender and age both are missing together. Now you understand and you analyze and understand. So the gender and age were the last input on your form. Okay. So maybe user get tired and did not fill the gender, and as he have not filled the gender, that definitely they will not fill the age, which is the second which is coming after gender. So in this, so you can understand there is a pattern. Whoever is not filled up the gender, they have not filled up the age also. There is a pattern. Depending on those pattern, you can do some exercise on this. That is your second called MAR. Third one is actually MNAR, which stands for missing not at random. This is a very critical thing, and this is the third one is a very critical thing because this is not a random miss of data. If I study properly, I can actually understand from this missing data the user behavior. Why this data get missed? There is a certain reason and certain thing that actually made this data as missing. Let's give you the example. Let's say you are actually checking that how many users actually having very huge number of books in their house. Okay, basically if you know a library system, how a library system works, you take one book, you return that, and you take another book. Some of the cases, due to some exception, you get 2-3, but that should be maximum. Nobody can take 10-15 books with him. Okay, so and you notice that this happened, and that's why you are actually generated a survey. Now you know who are the culprit. So the culprit were there who are actually having more book with them. Now what they will do, if you see some of the cases, if the user is having more than 3 book on his possession, he have not actually filled the appointment date. That means last appointment date, when he last checked in or something. Okay, so these mistakes is actually intentional. They don't want to disclose their last appointment date so that they cannot be penalized. Okay, or they want to hide themselves. So this is missing not at random. That means those appointment date were missing only for those who are actually having more than 3 books. Okay, so this kind of pattern is called missing not at random. Okay, so there are 3 kind of pattern: MACR, MAR, and MNAR. Okay, now why are we talking about this missing data at that much? Okay, missing data, by hearing this, I don't think it's not looking like very important thing, but it is important. Why? Because if you don't handle the missing data, if you are actually doing some activity using those data, maybe you are an analyst. I have already explained what are the roles of data analyst, data analytics, machine learning experts, data engineer. So if you are actually doing some activity and you have missing data, in every places you will have an issue. If you are data analyst and actually trying to forecast some of the information from the data, you will end up having some issue because your forecast will may be wrong because you have some missing data. You are a machine learning expert, you are actually creating a model to predict user behavior. If you have missing data, your model will not be corrected. Okay, so we cannot go with missing data or cannot proceed to our next step or data processing step before we handle those missing data. Okay, now how do we handle the missing data? There are various ways to handle the missing data or various strategy to handle the missing data. So these are the strategy. One of the easiest strategy, it's called forgive and forgive. Okay, it's more like a usual thing. You have a missing data, you saw these data are missing, you cannot do anything, just go ahead and delete those data, delete the entire row. Okay, if suppose in a row you see you don't have a edge, and this deletion is actually done when you have a missing completely at random. That means you don't know how any pattern why those got missed. So you actually tag those as a corrupted data and go ahead and delete those completely. That's called deletion method or deletion strategy. Don't worry, I'll do each and every strategy using Python code. That is the next segment of the video. In the first segment, you need to understand what are the strategy. So basically, missing completely at random demand a deletion. That means you can go ahead and delete it. But for the other, when you have a pattern, you can do something with that. Okay, now deletion, why deletion is not a very good solution? Because the more data you delete, the more less data you have. And in the world of data science, data is everything, or more precisely, volume of data is everything. So you don't want to lose your volume. If you delete some data, your volume is actually decreasing. So until and unless you cannot find a pattern and cannot do the activity which I showed in that next segment, don't go for the deletion. Okay, next strategy is basically imputation. Okay, which we do mostly, and whenever we get a pattern we can do mostly. Okay, now what is this, the imputation technique? So there are some basic imputation technique and there are some advanced imputation technique. So basic imputation technique we'll be talking about today. For advanced imputation technique, I'll be taking some more time because those are actually need more statistical understanding to do. Or some of the imputation actually you do using a machine learning methods. So before going there and explaining you those, you first need to understand those machine learning models. Okay, so let's get into the what we have in our hand. That's a basic imputation method. So the basic imputation method, first things comes into the mind, that's called replacement. What is replacement? Now replacement means, suppose I am actually capturing gender. Okay, and gender can be female, male, or non-binary, anything. Okay, now due to some XYZ reason, you see some of the cases it's not there, blank or null. So what you do? So the arbitrary, first thing is arbitrary. That means I will take a value. Let's say wherever I see blank or null, I will just replace those blank or null with unknown. So when I forecast something, if something happens for unknown, I know actually that this data comes for the unknown gender activity, and using this I also forecast something that I can tell that these are the user who don't want to disclose their gender. So this is called the arbitrary replacement. That means I can replace it with anything or any data, any XYZ data. But remember, if you are replacing entire blank, all blank should be replaced with a single word. Okay, you cannot go ahead and replace some with unknown and some with some different. That if you are doing it, there also you basically need a logic. But usually when you do this in a basic way, you actually go ahead and replace with a single word. Like all the blank now will be treated as unknown. Okay, that's the first thing. Next thing is min mode. Okay, that means this min mode replacement actually happens when you're working with the numeric data, and mostly when you are actually working with the continuous data. Now again, another term, what is continuous data? So let's understand, we actually forgot to explain this, what is a categorical and continuous data. So some categorical data means you know the fixed category. Let's suppose a gender, you know a gender can be male, female, or non-binary. Okay, or if you know there are other gender coming to your world, you'll know that these maximum, these are the gender can be. But this is not similar for taking a numeric value. Just like you are actually taking salary. Okay. Now the salary is 1000, 2000, 5000, 7000. There are no way. There can be a upper limit and lower limit, but you cannot display because somebody can have 1100, 1001, 1300, anything they can have. So that possibility is huge. So in this case, I cannot, if I have a value, if I have a missing value in my numeric data, I cannot go with the arbitrary replacement. That will not be corrected. So what I'll be doing, I'll be using the min or mode method. That means I have the whole data. I have 70, suppose I have 70 data, and I'll do calculate the min of those 70 data and replace the value with that. Again, calculate, I can go with the mode also. I can calculate the mode of this data, entire data, and place the mode there. Okay. Now again, if you are having a question, what is min and what is mode, I believe who are coming from your little, we have mathematics in 11, 12 standard, or even in 9th or 10th standard, they know what is min, what is mode. If you don't have it, don't worry. I'll definitely do another video where I actually tell you what are the statistical understanding or statistical method or statistical calculation you need to know to be a machine learning expert. So I'll be trying to create another video series for that. But for the complexity or the time purpose, let's just understand this concept here only. Okay. So min and mode. Second one is forward backward. That means suppose I have a data, like say 1000 is there, 2000, somebody is having 2000. Now this person is not having anything and this person again having 4000. So there are two things I can do. One, there's a backward. That means this 2000 I replace it this 2000. Previous one is 2000. Go with 2000. 4000 previous. This one is 4000. Let's go with 4000. Okay. Now this we only do with some continuous value when I actually have a relation between these two. If I don't have a relation between these two, I cannot use forward backward method. This will be very bad. Now, how do I have a relation between two row? Where will have a relation between two row? Consider a CC. If I tell you regarding this library management system, definitely you will not have it there. Now, consider a scenario where you have stock market analysis. You are doing a stock market analysis. That time you know that everyone actually calculate what is the past value of this stock, and depending on that you can actually try to assume that what will be the next value. You tally the past 1 year data and understand that okay, this 1 year data is like this 5000, 4000, though the stock value will go up to this. This is how you analyze. That means whatever happened in the past is having an effect on your next. So if you have a 3-year stock data and you see that some of them are actually missing, so that time you can do either min mode, and most of the time if it is very frequent, like today is 2000 and tomorrow data I have missed, and day after tomorrow I can see 2500. So I can do what with this. Okay, to go from 2000 to 2500, they must have in a point where they have gone somewhere else. So I'm assuming that my stock is going in a upward direction. So this is how the stock is going. If I see this is how the stock is going. So here 2000 is there and 2500 is there. Here it is missing. I can replace it with 2000. Okay. Or I can replace it with 2500. Okay. So this is how you do it. Sometime you do a one step thing, that you do a mean, calculate a mean of these two and place it there. So this is also a method. Okay. These are actually used for imputation, so that you can impute some data and you have a minimal effect on the data. That means you are any imputation, remember any imputation you are doing, that basically a sign injection, you are kind of polluting your data. So you want to get the pattern, you want to understand the pattern so that you less pollute your data, so that you have a good understanding or good result at end of the day. Again, something is happening for most frequent. Most frequent is also happen for your most of the cases for your this categorical, and sometime I can go for the numerical also. So it's most frequent means rather doing it unknown. If I see female is coming, just most of them are actually female, just go ahead with the female only, replace the blank data with the female. Now understand where you want to do what. Now which imputation technique you need to apply where, that also depends on little bit of domain knowledge. Now if you see, if I replace arbitrary value with a gender, that's a correct way of doing thing. But if you think if I go at most frequent with gender, that's not a very correct way. Some of the cases I can justify, okay, most of the cases here females are coming, so let's go with the female. Let's say you are actually calculating or getting a data for a cosmetic shops. So you think that, okay, on the cosmetic shop or the makeup shop, most of the persons who are coming are female. So let's go ahead and add female for the missing data. That's also a justified reason, but not for all the other cases. So those cases you cannot use most frequent for gender. Okay, so that's why imputation technique definitely need a domain knowledge. And what is domain knowledge? What is this data about? Okay, in the second segment, now I'm going to show you some actual data and what are the missing point on those data. Okay, let's come back to this second segment. So here in my screen, you can see some Excel I have. Okay, so these are the data I have. Something, let's understand what are the data. I have a first name, last name of the user. I have the email address of the user. I have the gender. I have the age. I have the current book, what they are reading. I have the overdue number of book they have with them, and the appointment time. Okay, so let's understand the data's pattern. Okay, how do you understand the data pattern? Let me just make it a little bit this way. Okay, now you see, if you see the email part. Okay, now as I have only kind of 900 or 1000 data, I can do it in my Excel. Obviously you will not go with thousands of data. You will be doing with lakhs of data, and that time there are Python libraries to understand how many missing data are there, and I'll definitely talk about those also. So first understand from the Excel, that's a base, and that will actually give you an idea what are the missing data and how missing data look like. So if you see, there are some email are there, and some of the cases you see the emails are missing, and there are no particular pattern I can detect. There are many places emails are missing. So this is basically your first scenario where you have email are missing. So to handle this scenario, there are no way I can just delete those data, because without an email, the data itself is incomplete, because first name, last name will be similar for many users. Only email is something that's a unique, and that got missed. That means there are no point of having this data here, because this entire row is null and void. So for this record or this part, I can actually go ahead and delete it. So these red indicated things are actually a deleted part. Okay, I can go ahead and delete it. There are no point of keeping those data. Okay, next thing, let's have a filter, and we can go ahead with the filter also. Let's understand. Think about the gender. Okay, where I have a blank gender. So you can see that this many genders I am having, but some of the cases have a blank gender. See, these are the gender which is blank, and this is also kind of, some of them you see gender as well as the age, both of them are missing. Okay, some of the cases genders are missing, that's okay, but some of the cases if you see gender and age both are missing. If I go ahead and make the age as blank, only blank ages, let's go ahead and select the blank ones only, you'll see this many record where gender and age both are missing. That means I told you that first thing in my first part, it comes to the gender. After you fill the gender, you need to fill the age. If somebody have not filled up the gender, they must have not filled up the age also. So the gender property actually falling under your MAR, missing at random. That means some of them are missing at random, and some of them, basically this is age property, some of them are missing at random, but some of them are actually having little bit understanding here that why age is not there. Okay, let's clear out the filter first. Again, we'll do see another thing, what missing not at random. Okay, Now you see the appointment time is blank. Okay, let's see how much appointment time is blank. If I go here, see for the blank, see most of the cases, see all the cases wherever you have more than 3 or 4 book, they actually have not filled. None of the cases, if you see, all they were 4 5 4 5 4 5. They have a huge number of book overdue, and all of them have not filled the appointment time. So that's the reason. So they have more overdue book with them and they don't want to return, and they have some bad users. That's why they have not filled it. So this is also last part. This is actually an example of your last segment, that is called MNAR, missing not at random. Okay, so we'll be handling in my next video, we'll be handling this all things and we'll doing the imputation using the Python. But before that, the concept should be clear. Okay, this happens for the most of the cases who are actually learning or stepping into the machine learning on data science field. They thought Python is the key. No, Python is not the key. Your concept is the key. Data science is 80% concept. Python code you don't need to remember. There are many tutorial, there are many autocomplete. You will get thousands of help in Python. But what you want to use in your data, what are the logic you want to apply in your data, that is the key here. Okay, so that is all for today. In my next video, I'll show you these all things using a Python. Thanks for watching. Please do like and subscribe so that it will actually encourage me to do this kind of video more. Thank you.